Hey guys, welcome to Coma Pirate Radio, where we as esoteric pirates slide our boats together, throw the ropes, tie the knots, talk about the maps. So, the map that we will be talking of today is As Above, So Below. Interesting thing about this is that you typically think as above, so below. But there are so many different angles and perspectives. The first image that came to mind was the chaosphere, because it has all of the arrows pointing around the circle. And then I thought of my favorite cult classic cartoon, The Point, and little Oblio meeting the pointed man and saying, how can you have a point if you're pointing in 1,000 different directions? That's not a quote, but that's like, he's got so many points, but he doesn't, because he has so many points, he doesn't have a point at all. Now, the point is that all of the perspectives are different chords, different vibrations that create. It is very windy today, so I thought about doing this inside, but anyway, as long as it doesn't blow the camera over. So you might see me grab it, or I could just pause it. I mean, it does look kind of cool. To edit or not to edit? This is the question. Now, that is a good question because it's also a perspective. So now I can't edit it out. Each perspective is a vibration that paints a whole picture. Without all of the different vibrations, you wouldn't have music. It would just be one note. And that just doesn't even, anyway. So for proper understanding, if you learn about geometry, it's like taking and studying each perspective gives you a greater picture of the whole. And this is important if you are an esoteric pirate and you want to study esoteric wisdom, right? So as above, so below. What we do on this physical plane reflects what we are doing on a spiritual, mental, like through the looking glass kind of experience, right? In another dimension. So it's not exactly it is what you do. What you do matters. Absolutely. Everything that you do matters. But I think it's also really important to understand that what you're thinking when you're doing is a very important perspective. So here at Center of Mystic Arts, through Coma, I have developed a very keen sense of awareness. All of the things that I do become ceremonial here. Okay? What I do here at Coma, and this is the third location, this I am calling the Tiny Temple. I am able to take one, possibly two physical apprentices. Here goes the wind. I wouldn't call what I do here at this tiny temple mundane. On a day-to-day basis, I am studying not only in books, but studying myself and what I'm thinking. I am also doing ceremonial magic with my horses. I just started the gardening process. I've been here for about a month in this location. So I'm really excited about the plants growing. It's about this passion to help this planet, and what are the things that I can do as an alien in a human body to really help the planet grow. And not grow, but survive. And one of the things that I have found is planting trees, fruit trees, or any kind of tree. It doesn't even have to bear food. There's so many trees being cut down. I just feel very passionate about planting as many seeds as I can. I also am a writer, and I'm also a mother, but I also can work with people online as well. I mean, you could call it a coach. You could call it guidance. You know, I like to call it having a mystic in your pocket. You can go to my Patreon account and check that out. We can work together. We use the Solar Party Paradigm cards and the paradigm to not only get to know yourself through your birth chart, but also studying what's going on in the planetary alignments today. Now, as I've said before, these cards are not to be used exclusively. They can be. Yes, I know. But whether you're a beginner and you don't know anything about astrology and all you want to do is like understand it on an elementary, and it's not even elementary, but to feel it. If you're not a brainiac and you just want to feel what's going on in astrology, this is an excellent paradigm, because honestly, that's me. I do like to study, but I don't consider myself a brainiac, okay? I like to just feel things. I like things to come in, information to come in that's easy to absorb. And I like to be able to say, yeah, I get that. But I might not be able to repeat it to you in a quote. But I can definitely use it and repeat it to you in my own digestion, right? In my own way. As an esoteric pirate, I do things my own way. I digest the information. My cells use it in its own way. And then when it comes out, it's not just a photocopy of something else that I have learned and seen, okay, or read. These cards enable you to understand a vast amount of knowledge and remember it, because it's a party setting. You can remember what the DJ looks like. You can remember that there's a bunch of aliens hanging out at the front door, right? You can remember that the bartender is an alien, the birthday kid is an alien. You can remember that Venus or the beauty queen and the DJ are on fire looking like demons dancing backwards, right? Like, you can remember it because you can visualize it. Same thing with your birth chart. And you can really get to know yourself by when you personify something, you're able to meditate with it and then communicate with it. It's very important. Now, these cards have all of the heavenly bodies, all of the constellations, all of the aspects, all of the houses, all of the placements. One of the things I've noticed about this area is that between the rainy season and the dry season, there's a windy season, and it gets quite strong. I do things in a very unique, individual way. If you've noticed, I'm really working with the algorithm, so if you could help me out and maybe drop a comment below, thumbs up, like and subscribe, do all the things that we need to do, share, this channel is to help those who are seeking a community and we're all talking about it, and some of us are finding different communities. And going back to the spectrums of the rainbow, there are supposed to be a lot of different communities. There's not just one. Those that I'm looking for, the esoteric pirates, those that, like I said, like to do things differently, like to do things their own way. I don't identify with one gender or another. I am gender fluid, but I definitely understand esoterically the energy behind the positive and the negative, the pushing force and the receiving and the holding force. Staying with this spectrum idea, I use a lot of different vibrations, all of the different vibrations, all of the different paradigms. I'm able to kind of surf through all of the vibrations fluidly. This way, each perspective is easier seen. You have to change your angle to see a different angle, And here at the tiny temple of Coma, I am able to live very minimalistically. I am able to experience life in a completely different way. Now, cities are very unique and individual for each individual human being. And it is a Buddhist terminology, the cities, the gifts that you're given, right? But if I were to describe the relationship that I have with the divine, with God, with the cosmos, with this, honestly, with the solar party, I would describe it as Sufi. When I started studying Sufism years and years back, it was like coming home. In that, and let me explain. In that, there's a divine love, a passionate relationship that Sufism embodies with how you connect with God, how you connect with the divine. And it's not strictly Muslim as well. It's also I like the playfulness of Sufism. They can laugh at themselves, and being contradictory, right? I can be very contradictory. I can say one thing 1 minute and say the other, I just feel like home when I think of Sufism. Like I've been there for many, many lifetimes. The abundance that I am receiving from my relationship with the divine and how I worship God by what I'm doing here, by planting these seeds, by working with these horses and understanding how they're communicating with me, by taking care of everything around me as best I can. But also, I'm a dragon. I do have a very strong presence. I am definitely not the kind of teacher for everyone. I'm not a kindergarten teacher. I mean, I do teach my 9-year-old kid. I really am exclusive. I don't work with very many people, and there is an extensive application process because, as we talked about the spectrum, there has to be a certain level of the spectrum for my teachings to be digested. I have learned that there has to be a level of understanding of the occult and alchemy and psychology that has to be there before being able to work with me. So, one of the things I would like to do in this video is roll the dice and pull some cards and find out who wants to speak with us. All right, let's find out what planet has messages for us today. Okay, Jupiter. He kind of went cockeyed in the corner, you know, I had to shake it a little bit. Jupiter, the boss. All right, so let's pull the cards. Here we go with the wind. Okay, we have 2 bosses. That's how I remember that he's in Gemini at the moment. Again, why is Jupiter the boss? The biggest planet, the planet of abundance, the planet of, he's got this like grandfather feeling to him, this benevolent, ruled by Sagittarius, and you can see Sagittarius is in the corner of the symbol. Very fiery, passionate, it's a masculine, because that's why he's like grandfather. He's giving, he pays, right? Fire. Paying for everything. The owner of the venue, the godfather, grandfather feels we got going on. Hopeful, wise, moral, optimistic, humorous. Again, with the Sufis, like being able to laugh at yourself. It's very important. Being able to laugh at the situation is very important. The wind, my God. Lawful. This is the planet that holds laws. I like to look at the 4 as well. It's a very stable, I know this is not a number, but it's the symbol. He has emperor feels to him, right? He is this benevolent king feeling. Stable and abundant, expansive, right? He can add on to the venue because he owns it. Now, we paint the picture in Gemini. It's a masculine energy again, so he's double masculine, has blue skin, comes in the inseparable two. They have the power to bring the higher self and the lower self into union, merging the 2 perspectives. No wonder he wants to talk about as above, so below, and looking at all of the different perspectives, bringing them together, merging them. Yes, thank you, Jupiter. Really appreciate you showing up today. I really do. I need to get paid. No, back to the cities. I do. There are so many different things that happen to me throughout the day that are like little, it's not money, because the universe doesn't know anything about paper money. It knows about exchange. It knows about energy. Like, for instance, I find 2 fruits on the side of a field, right? And he's like, there you go. You were hungry. Here's a fruit to eat. And let me talk about that in wild spaces. Nature can speak in glorious ways. And, going back to community and the kind of people that you really want to spend time with. There's people that love the city and the convenience of a city and having the abundance. Money is in the city. That's where the money is. And that's amazing. I have to go into the city to make my money. Wild spaces don't have money, but fruit can fall from the trees and feed you. Okay? So you see the difference, the different perspectives. One's not more important than the other. They both need each other. The builders need to exist. And I, as a wildling, I have witnessed myself pointing the finger at the builders. Stop building. Would you stop freaking building? And there is truth to that. Because we need more wild spaces than we need cities right now. The cities are taking over, and there are no more wild spaces for wild animals, including humans. We're talking about the owner of the venue possibly not pushing into the other and not giving the wild beings space to exist. They need to exist for the other to exist. And the builders can learn how to build in a new way and make the cities better, right? Make the cities more sustainable. Now, let's pull some cards and see what he has to say. This is one thing that I teach as well, is using these cards for divination. Gemini, Jupiter. And Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So these 2 bosses want to communicate. They could potentially be arguing, though, depending on your vibration. Okay? He wants to talk about her. The Queen of Swords. We're sticking with air. And if you really want to look at the other, the higher self, the mirror is always the opposite. It's always flipped, right? So if one side of the mirror is a masculine pushing side, the other side of the mirror is the receiving side. It has to be that way. If 2 pushing energies pushed into each other, they would annihilate each other. And 2 receiving energies don't ever come together. It doesn't work. It doesn't create anything, right? It exists, but it doesn't create. The masculine energy has to have a receiving energy to pull it in, to seduce it, to hold it. Going back to the Sufi idea of our relationship with God being more of a divine love. the beloved, and pushing deeper and deeper into that. I'm not married to another human being. That's not what this is. Not that it's any of your business. I mean, it's not. But this means I'm married to the divine. Always. Always have been. And I will tell you, I mean, the divine can get quite jealous. And what does that look like? When the divine gets jealous, well, what happens is, if I don't pay enough attention to the divine, bad things start to happen, and my life starts to fall apart, and then it's like, you better start looking at me again. You better start your meditation again. You better start giving me all that energy that you've given me before with all of your ceremonial practices, or I'm gonna make your life fall apart. I know. And then it's like, really? Girl. Queen of Air, the swords, it's a double-edged sword. What you give, you receive. As above, so below. He needs her. He pushes out into the world. She holds the hearth at home. She holds the hearth at home. You know? The fire in the heart. Communication is very important, especially when you're trying to find your own community. How does the other person communicate? How are they speaking? If it doesn't make any sense, or if it agitates you, then you should move away. Unless you are a Sufi and you want to practice, practicing being uncomfortable is a thing that you can gain a lot of cities from. But again, with the spectrum, in that case, you would be looking into all of the different spectrums. You would be looking at the perspectives and changing it and inspecting it. She sees and she communicates, right? But I have found that if you're unable to communicate properly with another human being, typically things aren't going to go well. Typically they're going to fall apart. And yeah, you can learn a lot from the tower moments. It happens. Of course, everything crumbles and then you're like, oh, I can inspect every single piece now that the tower's fallen. If you really like that kind of Scorpio energy. But the boss, Jupiter, the boss doesn't like to see the venue burnt down. The boss wants to see the venue prosper for the next generation. That's what gives him the grandfather feels. The boss has the children and wants to give the business to the children. This is the house for the family, right? So, is there anything else you want to say? As above, so below. Thank you guys so much for watching. And again, like and subscribe. I've just hit 200 subscribers, so, you know, it'd be nice to get like that K. I really am shooting for the K. And it's not just about the numbers, really and truly, it's not. It's about sharing what I'm doing here. Sharing the solar party paradigm. Because the aliens, the heavenly bodies are alien. They are extraterrestrial. They are not of this planet because they are other planets. Okay? They've also told me that they've always been my spirit guides. People talk about spirit guides and they're like, the planets are like, yeah, that's been us. And then they also told me recently that they've also been known as the secret chiefs. So these divine heavenly bodies speak through me. They've always spoken to me. I've written my manuscripts and published them on Amazon for the world. Well, again, the mirrors, it's for me. Those manuscripts, the act of rewriting what I wrote when I was 14, 15, 16, 17, and I think at this point, I still have journals up until today. But as far as publishing, I think I've stopped at like I was 16, 17. I'm about to publish the 4th journal. Anyway, republishing and writing commentary on these manuscripts has given me the confidence, has proven to me that I am what I am. Through Center of Mystic Arts, through living my life as a minimalist, through experiencing the divine as a Sufi, through exploring ceremonial occult magic, through all kinds of different paradigms. I am now here, and they want me to share it. So your support is helping the planet, essentially. And many other mystics, the Mystics for Mystics movement. This world is going to be changing and is changing very drastically, very quickly. Finding each other is paramount. So, whether you're traveling physically or mentally, may it be in love and light and shadow, because the light needs the shadow. Don't forget your magic bag, whether it's a purse or a backpack or a medicine pouch, kind of small, but it's full of everything you need. And you're gonna need it. There's lube to get you through the tight spots. There's wax when you need to hold on. There's rope when you want to tie yourself to something. There's a knife when you need to cut the karma real quick. There's a compass to know where you're going, and the map to be able to navigate the stars. Have a beautiful day. Ciao.